Letitia Kai's conceptual hair sculptures of Adinkra symbols situate African aesthetics and representations of African spiritualities as a currency of beauty. Representations of Adinkra symbols as high art sculptures assert that beauty is to be understood through an accessing of ancestral languages of power. Adinkra is a representative language that marks royalty and power through the living out of spiritual values. Kai's sculptures are manifestations of this, using Adinkra to mark African women's hair as sacred. Kai's Adinkra sculptures assert that hair is a material of sculpture and thus a root to honor the past. Kai's conceptual sculptures extend the representational possibilities of sculpture into the realm of imagination. These Adinkra hair sculptures engage with the tradition of honoring and concretizing the past. These sculptures also assert a present informed by that past that Adinkra describes. The Adinkra symbols within these sculptures are a language of spirituality and honor in and of themselves in their use by the Akan people of current-day Ghana. Sculptures of Gainam, Sankofa, and Wawa Abe weave a pictorial tale that calls to the past, pulling it into the present. The use of Sankofa suggests that the past is never left in the past. Thus, Kai's representations of Adinkra build upon Adinkra's own representational power. The Gainam sculpture represents a duality of God's love. This hair sculpture is a creative act of loving God. It is also a demonstration of a deep spiritual care for the God contained within the sculpture. Paired with Duafe, these sculptures assert a love for all that is the African feminine. The series defines the African feminine as strength and spiritual power. The Gainam sculpture asserts a godly love and care for the medium of hair and all that it represents within the series. Kai's Wawa Abe sculpture speaks to the continued power of Adinkra and of all of the other values Kai crafts in her hair sculpture series. These representations make it clear that Adinkra is a language with the ability to call to a spirituality of African antiquity, and sculpture is a vehicle to assert Adinkra as a contemporary language. Hair becomes the physical manifestation of spirituality. Hair as a sculptural medium ties these values to African women's hair. Kai utilizes store-bought hair, emphasizing that it is the creativity of African women's stylings that speak to an ancestral source of strength and love. These sculptures, crafted out of manufactured hair, emphasize the beauty and wealth and representations of African power. The use of contemporary materials asserts that Adinkra symbols continue to mark wealth. In Kai's sculptures, hair becomes gold embossed with Adinkra. These sculptures are impermanent, rebuilt and rebirthed in each iteration. The series reshapes sculpture through the utilization of hair as a medium, and TikTok as a platform for exhibition. The sculptures, paired with slides explaining their meaning, make it clear that these are representations of a language of love, spirit, and strength. The representation of Adinkra symbols, once used to mark gold and denote royalty, extends the currency of spirituality Kai's sculptures advance. Kai's sculptures animate Adinkra through the marking of the African feminine with symbols of divinity. These sculptures, situated on Kai's own head, assert that hair is a representational means to call divinity into the living. In this series, love of the divine and love of ancestral knowledge and right relation to a higher power become the divine feminine. The sculptures also reanimate Adinkra within a contemporary digital context. The photography frames Kai as a piece of each sculpture as meeting the eye of the viewer. The sculptural gaze reaches out of the screen, pulling the viewer into the snapshot. Kai's sculptures understand beauty in the technological world through a language of divinity. These sculptures situate beauty, temporally and locationally, within a language of African divinity. The attention and viewership these sculptures garner become the way in which the Akan values represented move through the digital landscape. These sculptures garner value through their ability to reach viewers. The gaze in the photo captures the viewer, literally reaching outward and wrapping the viewer in a language of love of African power. Kai's sculptures define Africanity through a web of feminine divinity, power of antiquity, and process of return and movement. Kai's sculptures ensure evaluation based on an African ethic of honor. The last sculpture in the series is of Ipa, situating justice as the end-all be-all of this conceptual representation of divinity. Ipa remains, leading outward into a system of valuation that honors what is right. Kai's sculpture's ephemeral nature suggests that a physical manifestation of Adinkra is part of a larger metaphysical system of beauty. These sculptures, through their ebbs and flows, ensure that Adinkra becomes sacred for a new age of consumers.